All right, so for our lovely Miss B, ready, Bailey? We're gonna warm up a little bit with just a couple little find-its just to get her in the groove. So you'll notice that sometimes find-its are one of my favorites just to get them kind of cozy and comfortable. We are going to go ahead and go into, for example, some loose leash walking. So when it comes to puppies, especially, I'd recommend to keep your training sessions short and sweet, yes, for greater success. If you're finding that you're going for an actual walk and expecting to be able to go from point A to point B, that might be too hard of a setup for your very small puppy. Typically, I'd recommend to practice some of these skills in and around the inside of your home, or for example, in your yard or driveway. If the roadway is too warm, so like the driveway in the sun, now as the cooler weather is coming, it's probably not going to be too warm. But we may find that when starting this exercise is to, if the gear becomes awkward for you or the puppy, you can also practice this without gear in the beginning. So let's say, for example, with gear on, you're finding it to be really hard. You could start with your leash off, for example, and feed your puppy for any time she's near your side and sort of focusing in. So if you want your puppy to learn how to work on the left side, I recommend to have your food be on the side in which you want your puppy to be on. So I would, in the beginning, use my food as my way to lure the puppy into my side and feed them there. You may take a couple steps and then feed again. Bailey. If your puppy gets a little distracted, yes, you can feed for that lovely bounce back where she checks back in. So if you're finding your puppy is a bit of a drunken sailor and they're going all over the place, don't worry. You can still feed for proximity or almost there behavior. So right now, we just want our puppy to think when they come into our space, good things happen for being nearby. So again, Bailey, ready? Yes. So she sometimes gets a little bit distracted when she's off her gear. Again, you want to think about your leash as, in the beginning, your training wheels. So if your puppy doesn't know how to stay a little softer as company comes over, or if they're sometimes going after your littles, like your little humans or other pups in the household, I do recommend use your leash as the way to keep your puppy from failing. So if, for example, you didn't know how to ride your bicycle, we normally would start off with training wheels. Those training wheels, though, all by themselves will not teach you how to ride your bike. So what helps you learn how to ride the bike is when someone instructs you and teaches you how to pedal, how to stop, and how to turn. So with the leash, don't view it as the thing that's going to teach her how to do something, but keep her safe while she's learning. So I like to, for example, if your puppy's having a hard time staying honed in or they're wandering away, it could be also that they're overtired or they don't understand the concept. So let's say with Miss B, if she tends to wander away, we may start off with the gear on. So if Miss B is a little excited, so sometimes when they're first learning how to wear a harness, I do find that sometimes the puppies do find it a little bit peculiar. So if she's not used to gear, I highly recommend to sometimes have her wear it for a few little moments and then take it off again. So for our little lady, if you're going to be feeding your beauty on the left side versus the right, you can pick whichever side you prefer. What I'd recommend is hold your leash in the opposite hand. So that way, if she's going to be working on the left, I would want to go ahead and have my leash on the right hand. Ready, Bailey? She's just a little bit interested in what Ebba's up to in the corner. Ready, Bales? So she's a little distracted, might do a little find it. Ready? So another option, let's say your puppy gets really distracted by the environment or things around them. One of my favorites is to do the breadcrumb trail. So I'm going to show Miss B the snacks I have. She's like, oh my gosh, there's also some weird noises. So obviously being near the roadway, we sometimes have motorcycles and trucks that come by. So for Miss B, so she doesn't do as much popping. So what I mean by jumping is a lot of times the puppies in the beginning are so excited about the snacks and the practice that they actually start jumping up to reach you halfway. So right here where she pulls, I would do a little U-turn and feed her for the turn around. So you see my leash is nice and relaxed. There's a little bend to it. As Miss B gets more and more comfortable, I start to feed her directly from my hand to her mouth. If, let's say in the beginning, she gets a little bit eager beaver, she starts to jump up, she starts to eat your fingers, I like doing the breadcrumb trail because it's still feeding your puppy for being soft and next to you while on gear, but it keeps her from, example, jumping and trying to reach you up to your body to gain that snack. So in the beginning, I might do the feed the floor game or, for example, the breadcrumb trail. If Miss B starts to pull, it could be that she's overwhelmed, she could be overexcited, or she could be a little confused or overtired. So remember, since your puppy doesn't know what we're asking, we're typically going to create behavior with feeding the puppy. Sure. So Ebba wants to come help a little bit. So when your puppy is working with some of these behaviors, yeah, Ebba, you can come over when you're ready. It's okay, it'll shut off in a second, no worries. So if, for example, your puppy is going to be practicing maybe with your littles, or maybe you're going to try to practice this a little bit outside, you will find that at times you have to either lower the criteria if the environment becomes too stimulating, but make sure that you're setting up your puppy for good, soft places to practice. So you'll also see that my rate of reinforcement, which is how many snacks she gets in a certain time frame, will help her realize what might have value from her perspective. So I always like to tell my students is view every behavior or skill as having, for example, a bank account. So if, let's say, your sit bank account has had lots of really great deposits, which means that you've been giving lots of food or paychecks from the puppy's perspective, they'll start to offer those sits a lot more readily. If, let's say, recall or loose leash walking doesn't have as many deposits, from the puppy's perspective, loose leash walking might be a really lame bank account. So make sure that for right now, we're really feeding, and this could be her kibble, which I'm using a lot of her food for the training. Ebba, my love, it'll shut off by itself. You can come on over. It's fine. Come on over. It'll shut off by itself. Ready? Because when it gets timed out, it shuts off. So for our little lady, sorry about the distraction. Like typical life, there's always something else happening on the back burner. So with Bailey, obviously sometimes working around other little humans or other dogs will be something we're going to practice. So right now, so Ebba, when you come over, hang out sort of off to the side. So you can see Bailey is really excited. Stay right there, Hippo, okay? 1 second. So when Bailey gets really excited, I'm going to go right to her. No, you wait there, Ebba. I'm going to go right to her little sniffer and then lure her away. So Ebba, you wait there for 1 second, okay? So if Bailey is very excited, I don't want her to think that being excited is what's going to get her to go visit the little one, because then she might think pulling or jumping is what's going to be reinforced. So I might, oh, Ebba, you don't have to go so far away. Are you coming back to help? Are you all done? Because if you're going to help, can you hang out over here with Mommy, please? So let's say Bailey's getting really excited. I might go, Bailey, get her attention, and then go right into a little find it off in the distance. Ready? She's like, hold on, I dropped that one. Can't chew at the same time. So the benefit to these find its versus telling your dog to sit and try to hold their position is that for a lot of puppies, novelty or new things are very exciting. But asking her to sit down and hold her position is sort of like me asking my 8-year-old, who we arrived early at a birthday party, to now sit still versus getting excited about the birthday party or wanting to go check out the new place we're going to go be for the party in the sense of like a trampoline park. So I'd recommend, right, find it, to get them to do something else that you'd rather when they don't know what to do instead. Hey, Abba, can you come a little closer now? So let's say my puppy's been practicing a few of these little find its, helping her get a little softer. I'm going to go ahead and have her do a little high. Nice. And then I'm going to go ahead, Bailey, and pull her away. So what I'm doing with Miss B is obviously with these little proper hellos is a lot of times with puppies, I'm just going to bring her right over here, Ebba, so people can see better on the camera, is I'm going to keep her a little bit busy on the front end while Ebba is doing her usual thing. Hey, Ebba, can you come back and say hello, please? So let's say my puppy was very interested in doing these little highs. So those little sneezes mean she's really excited. So Ebba, can you come over on this side? Nice. Over on this side, my love. Yes. So notice how Miss B, I was able to, she still can do her happy dance and get excited, but we're feeding her for keeping all 4 feet on the floor. Ebba, would you like to come say hi to my puppy? So let's say Miss B is really excited. Go ahead and pat her a little bit, Ebba. Go ahead. So right now, I'm feeding Miss B for being nice and gentle near the little one. Can you pat her on her back, my love? Thank you. Sometimes their bellies are a little tickly. So right now with Ebba, who's just turned 4, she's helping sometimes practicing with the puppies. So notice how the babe when she first started, was really excited and she wanted to rush right over to her and kind of jump all over her. Right now, we're showing Miss B that she could do something different than her original feeling. So if you're getting some jumping on you, remember this could be her being excited or a little bit nervous. Hey, Ebba, did you want to do another little hi with her? Okay. Yes. So you go over on that side. There you go, stand right there. Go ahead, you can say hello. So again, what I'm helping our lovely Miss Bales to do, she's like, oh my gosh, little smooches. So if let's say she gets a little mouthy or a little licky, a lot of times puppies will try to reach for faces because they're actually doing what's called an appeasement behavior. Sometimes the puppies are actually a little bit nervous or a little unsure what to do. So they'll be trying to lick as almost a way to calm themselves or say to the environment or the person or their dog, I come in peace and I don't bring any harm, but please don't hurt me. So sometimes a kiss can also be your puppy saying, I'm a little bit overwhelmed. And other times it can be like, again, I want to be your buddy, but I'm a little one, so please remember not to be too harsh on me. So for our little Miss B, you can see that obviously since she is a shorter woman, I am hunching a little bit. You may find that as she, ready, Bailey, yes. As you're practicing, you don't have to obviously be hunched quite as much, but remember that rate of reinforcement, as I was mentioning earlier, is going to be really crucial. So remember how I mentioned also, each one of these skills has a bank account. Ready, Bailey? So if Miss B finds very little value in loose leash walking because we haven't made it be reinforcing from her perspective, we want to make sure we're adding a lot of nice deposits to that account. The other thing too is you want to think to yourselves as well with loose leash walking. This is a very abnormal behavior that is not typical for puppies or dogs. Ready? Ebba, did you want to come say hi again? So there's Miss B. She's a little excited, perfectly fine. She's keeping all 4 feet on the floor. So we're going to feed her for that. Nice job, Miss B. So this way, as your little is practicing, Ebba, can you let her go and just pat her a little bit? There you go. So now this way, littles don't equal jump all over or maybe mouth. Remember that from your puppy's perspective, that when we go to use our hands, we're very much so looking like we're wrestling because our hands are almost like paws. So if our hands are pawing at them, they might think, oh, we're about to wrestle. And then, of course, puppies will use those lovely piranha teeth to wrestle with you as if you were another puppy. So I like to practice handling skills, which means that I would practice touching my puppy and feeding them throughout staying soft and not having touch equal we're about to rumble. Because for a lot of puppies, it's a bit of a culture clash. They get confused between why are pats not the same as a WrestleMania move. So I would recommend to practice calm patting from the littles or even from adults. Ready? Bailey. She's a little distracted by Ebba. But I'd practice where touching equals relaxation. Touching doesn't equal wrestles. So it's very pretty with Miss B. So you'll see I'm feeding again while she's by my leg. Nice job. She's like, guys, this is very exciting. 2, she also did use the restroom twice outside. She went and made a poop, and she also just did a little pee a few moments ago. So Miss B, for when it comes to that house training, which we'll dive into in another little video, we want to make sure that we're keeping things consistent by bringing her out often. But we'll dive more into the house training in a moment since we're working more with the loose leash walking. So for Miss B, you may find that you do this for a few minutes and then you take a break because this is a lot of good mental and physical exercise. So typically for a young puppy, I'd recommend end on a good note where things are really easy. So that way it's not too overwhelming. Hi, Ebba. So let's say she's going to do a little hi. Did you want to pat her again for a second? Nice. Good job patting the baby puppy. They're very, very nice. She is a bit of a baby. Yeah, she's still very little. Thank you for helping, Ebba. She doesn't turn into a teenager until she's about 6 months old. 2, if your puppy starts becoming really mouthy while you're practicing or they're grabbing for equipment or grabbing for your pants, she's like, would you like a smooch? Then you're probably dealing with a puppy that's really tired. So remember how I mentioned they need about 18 to 20 hours of sleep a day. So you may be finding that while you're practicing, she might be working for too long, and because of that, start to become a little bit of that land shark. So if you're finding she's going from being responsive to non-responsive, or if she's ever not taking her food, that could also be that she's overwhelmed, stressed, or a little bit nervous, which means that she's also not learning. So we want to make sure that when we're working with her, nice. So make sure she can come get some lovies and then she can move away again, okay? She's very fluffy. Very nice. Good job, girls. Very nice work. Good job, Bales. That was very nice. Smart girl.